Hi, my name is David Loken. I'm a mechanical engineer and I work for Hatch here in Saskatoon, and I've been here for about 12 years. So Hatch is a multi-discipline engineering firm. Our job is to help clients across Canada and actually across the world to develop engineered solutions to problems, whether that's something in infrastructure like a road or a bridge or a port, or for our clients here in Saskatchewan who are mostly mining clients, we help them design a new mine or modify a new mine or just make it work better, right? Help them make their businesses better. So mechanical engineering is basically things that move. So the mechanical engineer, he worries about a piece of machinery, whether it's a conveyor or a crane or a lift or something that is used in process that breaks things up or, screens out debris or whatever it is, but it's a physical piece of equipment that we have to figure out how to mount it, how big the motor should be to run it, how to make it so that it doesn't vibrate too much, that it fills its technical requirements. So a typical workday for me, it depends on whether I'm helping to design that piece of machinery or helping other people design the piece of machinery. So I'm a project engineer as well. So my job is to get a group of people together and say, okay, we all have to work together. Some of the jobs are quite large. Obviously, one person can't do it all by themselves. So you might have 5 or maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 10 or 20 people working on it, and somebody has to coordinate that and make sure everybody's working together, that you're talking to the right people, that you're not sitting there scratching your head because you don't have the right information, that that they're efficient. So my job is to mostly help them do that, because I do some detailed design, but really there's lots of other people that can do that. I just help them. So my career journey started in Saskatchewan. I went to university in the University of Saskatchewan. I actually grew up in small town Saskatchewan, not knowing what engineering was, not even knowing, I came from a family with not a lot of university graduates, so it was pretty new for me, but I graduated from the University of Saskatchewan. It was quite a while ago and there wasn't a lot of jobs, so I actually moved to Ontario, and my first job was actually in aerospace. I was helping to design the Canadian Space Station. So that was one of my first jobs. So I worked out in Ontario and I worked with a very large team, and of course that was across, North America. It was very exciting. And I worked out there for quite a few years, but then at one point I said, you know what, I want to go back to Saskatchewan. I had children, I wanted them to be closer to home. So I moved back to Saskatchewan and I worked in a farm machinery dealership. Or not dealership, manufacturer. So I helped design farm machinery. And then at another point, my brother and I started a business in Saskatchewan. So we did design of equipment for our clients, for ourselves. We had a small firm with our own staff. And then recently, well, not that recently, in the last 15 years, I went into what's called the consulting industry, where we help our clients. And so I've been working in that industry now for the last 15 years, most of it with Hatch. A typical mechanical engineer is somebody that kind of likes working with their hands. Like I said, it's kind of where things become physical, right? Electrical engineers, less so, right? A lot of people that are electrical engineers or computer engineers, they're more into the computer side of things. Whereas the mechanical engineers, a lot of times they've grown up working on cars or building things in their basement. Or the idea is that you like seeing things get built. You like being able to touch it and feel it, see it in place. And that's the excitement that a mechanical engineer, well, maybe any engineer gets, is see it in the real world. Today, like this week, I went down and we're building a plant in southern Saskatchewan, and I got to go there and walk around and touch things and take pictures, and that's the part of the job I find the most exciting. Is it's all well and good to say you've designed it, but to be able to physically see it work is ultimately what we want to do. So that, I would say, is that passion for building and completing things. I think it would be a valuable tool to bring. Should you have soft skills? Are they important? And the short answer is yes. In all honesty, it's probably the most important thing. I mean, the ability to do math, we have computers that do math, you can always get somebody to help you, but being able to understand the problem, being able to understand what our clients want is the most important thing, and giving them what they want. You might think I got this all figured out. I know exactly what they want. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And then they go, well, no, that's not what we want. Well, then, you got to figure that out pretty quick. And so that ability to communicate and understand and cooperate is probably the most important thing. I mean, we're a big company here, 100 plus people. If you just want to, stay to yourself, it's going to be a difficult thing. So the ability to communicate and cooperate, I'd say, is paramount. And it doesn't matter how good your work is if you can't communicate it, right? Then it's just for yourself, which is no good to our clients. The things I love about my work are, well, I love variety. Like I said before, I enjoy building things. I enjoy touching things. It is more than just, an intellectual exercise. I would say that's the simplest way of putting it. I want to build things. And in reality, in my life, I've built. And I say I have helped build, I have participated in many, many, many successful projects. And that's a great thing. But as I also said, I like variety, and that's important too. I could not come to work and do the exact same thing day after day after day. And I think that's an important aspect of being an engineer, is that you're going to be doing new things a lot. So, and you're going to be doing things you may have never done before. So the ability to have the confidence to say, I haven't done this, but I know I can, right? And then say, well, how do I figure this out? Well, I might have to ask somebody. I might have to go on the internet. I might have to Google it. Maybe somebody else here has done this before, and I can just go and talk to them and get it figured out. But that's fun, right? That's part of the experience. It's, doing the research and figuring things out and saying at the end of the day, I know something now that I didn't used to know. Or better yet, I might be the best at this in, the company or the province or the country, right? You might become an expert at something, and that's kind of exciting. So the job market in Saskatchewan is actually very good, and has been for quite a while for engineering. We have a large mining sector that has been, growing for at least a decade, probably more than a decade, and the industry that supports that industry has been growing as well. You go back 20, 30 years ago, or even 50 years ago, when all the potash mines were built, a lot of that was all brought from Europe or United States. Now we tend to build all that ourselves. There's a huge construction and manufacturing industry in Saskatchewan that didn't used to be there, and it's still growing. So you can work for the constructors, you can work for the companies that are building the machines, you can be a guy that does maintenance, you can work for the teams that are doing installations, or you can work for the engineers that design it all in the first place. Or you can work directly for the companies. They all have engineers. They all need lots of support. So there's a variety of different places you can go, and arguably an insatiable demand for the skill sets and those skill sets aren't very specific. It isn't just, we need mechanical engineers. No, they need all engineers, all trades. They need designers. They need people to do purchasing. They need people to help keep track of the money and the scheduling. There's or even just writing documents. If you like to write, we need people to write documents. It's literally any skill you can imagine, we likely need somewhere in our organizations. Joining engineering it's a complicated thing, because there isn't just one path. You need to think about, well, what is it that I really enjoy, and where will I fit in the best? As I said, the opportunities are almost endless, so that sometimes means you got to maybe think about it a little bit more. Luckily, the way the programs are set up, I think you got about a year of when you start engineering where you don't have to make all your decisions. So you get to go in and they will give you an opportunity to see what's there, and then you might say, you know what, I really like that. I was going to go this direction, but that looks way better. And even if you start and you say, you know what, this isn't working out, I need to take a different path, you can always do that. Even when you're finished, graduated, and in employment, you might say, you know, this job I've done, that isn't quite what I wanted to do. And there's always an opportunity to refocus or go a different direction or learn more. You know, you might say, you know what, I need to go back, get some more education. Maybe I need to, you know, do a little bit of training because the thing I really want to do, I need some more education for. And you can always do that. You can always go back and refocus and change. That's the good part about it. I mean, my company is huge. We have offices all over the world. And I've said to people, you know, if you really said to yourself when you came here that I've always wanted to be in Australia, we could probably find a way to get you to Australia as an example. Because with a large company, you can move around. We're always trying to put people in the right places. We don't want to have somebody sitting there going, oh, I hate doing this, right? You know, that's the last thing we want. And if you say to me, I really want to do something interesting. I'll give you an example. I sent a guy down to, we're doing work in Colombia, believe it or not, Medellin, Colombia. And I had one of our engineers, I asked him, hey, do you want to go down to Colombia and help our guys that are making drawings and go down there for a few weeks? And the answer was, well, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, great, let's do that. You know, there's opportunities in engineering that you might not even imagine looking at it from the outside. For any student that's thinking about going into engineering, you do have to plan for it. You can't just, you know, after you graduate say, hey, maybe I should go into engineering. Well, you can, but you might find then you got to go back to school and pick up a lot of classes. You do need to have your sciences. You do need to have your maths. It's just the way it is. And if you haven't thought about that, it doesn't mean you can't go back and do these things. I have my son he worked in a different job and then finally said, you know, I should go back. So he had to go back and upgrade his classes. He had to upgrade, he was missing some maths, he was missing some classes. He had to go back and upgrade before, and he's now going to Sask Polytech to become a technologist. And he'd been out for a reasonable period of time before he made that decision, but he realized, no, I need to go get my education so I can get a better job. So you got to think, okay, maybe I'm not really good at math, but I need to do it, and maybe I need help to do that. Maybe I need some tutoring. Maybe I gotta, you know, find a way to get over my fear, you know. And a lot of times it's not that you're terrible at math; it's that it seems scary, and really it shouldn't be. And nothing makes you feel better than when you do something and then find out that you can do it. So a lot of times it's more about trying than anything else. And that's the advice I always give. And as you know, I tell people, math is not the major part of our job, not by a long shot. 99% of the time we're not doing math. And most of the math we do is pretty simple stuff. It's adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. It's not, you know, you don't have to understand, you know, how NASA put spacecraft into orbit, right? That just doesn't happen unless you choose to put spacecraft into orbit, in which case you will need to know that. But most of the time, we're doing more people skills. It's more working with people and solving problems as a group, not sitting at your desk all day, you know, putting numbers on paper. That's not what we do.